Oh, last preview of the year. Brad from Hawks Insiders here, so let's get into it.
Clarkey on the move. Got it! Don't you want to be him? He's got 9. And North have the win.
So a massive round 24 clash. He's a massive guest. Brad from Hawks Insiders is here. A return guest all the way back in from round 6, which feels like so long ago, and we were just discussing that one of us has been having a fantastic time since then, and the other has been having some fun, but a lot of sad as well. But welcome back, mate, and how you going?
Thanks, Legend. Thanks, Josh. Hello, North fans and the few Hawthorn fans I hope that are going to be tuning in. It's great to be back. It's been a good journey for the Hawks. Look, North have won the 3 games. It hasn't been a great season, but I think you can see the signs there. We'll talk about it. But, yeah, if you're a North supporter, last week was disappointing. But overall for the season, I think there's quite a few positives, and the outlook for 2025 and beyond is quite positive.
Well, let's talk a little bit of Hawks before we get into the game. What do you think's been the biggest thing to turn the Hawks around from losing 5 straight into just the form, which I tip them for the spoon. Like I could probably name about 4 or 5 guys on the team. And look, I'm not a Hawks hater at all. I'm very jealous of what Hawthorn have been able to do. I criticize them a bit. I criticize how I feel about them a little bit, only because I'm so jealous about. I wish that was my club. You know, you came down and joined us at the bottom of the ladder after we'd been there, and you're already well and gone, and it makes me feel awful, mate. So what happened at the Hawks to turn it around?
There's a lot there. So we started the season 0-5, but we didn't play too badly. Collingwood got us by less than a goal. Connor McDonald missed a shot on the run from 30 out with a minute and a half left that would have put us in front. That was our gather round. We played all right against Geelong. You know, Essendon round 1, we really could have beaten them. They kicked 17-5, but we could have won that game. So there were signs there, but Dylan Moore's spoken about it this week in the media, where in the club they actually believed that they were playing well enough to win games. They just couldn't get over the line. They changed a few things. Sam Mitchell is a coach, in my opinion. I'm not just saying this, because I'm biased, but I honestly believe he's the coach of the year. As you touched on, you picked Hawthorn for the spoon. I actually predicted them to finish bottom 4, as a lot of our supporters did. I thought we'd win 6 to 8 games. We won 7 last year and finished 16. So for this year, it was just about the growth and development. I thought if we won 7 or 8 games, percentage of 90, that would have been a pretty good season. Where we are at the moment is where I thought we'd probably be in 2025, if not 2026.
Yeah.
But it's the belief in the young players. Our injury run has been really, really good. Touch wood, unfortunately, Will Day's not going to play this week against North. He's our best player. Harry Sheasel's out for you guys. He's your best player, so that evens out a bit. But the injury run's been pretty good. We found some really good young players, but the difference I see between Hawthorn and North is the main difference is our senior players are all playing really, really well this year. Jack Gunston kicked 5 on the weekend. He's been really good. Luke Bruce has been our sub for most of the season. The captain, James Sicily, who's approaching 30, has had another brilliant season. Sam Frost, who's in his 30s, has arguably had his best season.
Yeah, I forgot about Sam Frost.
Yeah, everyone has. So, he was close to being delisted. He got a contract extension at the end of last year, but James Blank was earmarked as our fullback for this year, and he did his knee on the eve of the season. And it was between James Blank and Sam Frost as to who was going to be our fullback this year. So Blank going down with the knee, Sam Frost steps up, and him and Jack Scrimshaw. Scrimshaw's a test for this week. I'd be surprised if he does play. He had minor surgery after the game on Sunday. He dislocated his finger. They hope he's going to be out there, but he's been unbelievable this season. So it's just been a mixture of the coaching, the game style. The players have found form. They're just playing really well as a team. But Hawthorn's a really young side, but they still do have those 4 or 5 senior players week in, week out who just play their roles. They're probably not our best players, but when you've got experienced players who play their role week in and week out, it makes a massive difference. In you look at North Melbourne, Liam Shields is going to retire, a former Hawk, played 255 games, kicked 90 goals and won 3 premierships for Hawthorn. He was an underrated player for Hawthorn from 2009 to when he finished up a few years ago. And he's getting a game for North Melbourne most weeks at the moment. But, you have a Liam Shields and a Luke McDonald and those types, where we have a Jack Gunston and a Luke Bruce who comes off as a sub. It's all well and good having these superstar younger players, and I'm really bullish on North. I don't know if any of your listeners follow me on X at Brad Klavansky. Give me a follow, but I'm really bullish on North. I think Tristan Cherry deserves to be the All-Australian ruck this year.
Absolutely.
I've been pushing that all season. I think he's going to be unlucky. Rowan Marshall at St Kilda and Max Gawn, it's going to be one of those 3. I don't think both 2 will get in, but Sherry, I believe, deserves to. Harry Sheasel definitely will get in. I think he deserves to be on the field, but he'll probably get a spot on the bench. And the other one who deserves to make the 40 who won't is Luke Davies, Uniac, LDU.
Yeah, his stats for a lot of the season. Yeah, his stats for a lot of the season look great, but it's when you watch the games, it's the impact. I mean, the last couple of weeks, he's getting 30 plus touches a week still, but really no impact compared to maybe what he did, sort of before the Eagles game from the bye, where he was the best player on the ground, even if we lost, basically. So
yeah.
Yeah, obviously North's not getting 3 All-Australians. If we get 2 with Shees and Jerry, I'll be absolutely shocked. I feel like Sherry should be, absolutely. But, I think wearing the blue and white stripes sometimes when you're at the bottom of the ladder sort of hinders you just a little bit. So I don't know, mate. If we get 1, I'll be stoked. But you're right. I think our young core is good for the future. It's just being able to get some leadership, because as you said, your Sicilies, your Gunstons, Bruce, they've all been there and done that. And, I like Jai Simpkin, and he's actually still quite a young player, but our veterans are 27 on this team. You know what I mean? And our young talent is so elite compared to so many other teams, but it is the contrast of that where you don't have the 30-year-old like the players we're trying to go after, like a Viney, who I know resigned today, or like a Wines or a Parker, or, name Dylan Shield, name whoever you want. We need those sort of players to be able to step up in a crucial moment, because you hinted it before that, there's so many games that we had that we probably should have won, and we could have ended the season with 5 to 7 wins, where you look at Collingwood or the Demons or West Coast a couple of weeks ago, even when we played Carlton, where, at the West Coast game, for an example, if we've got a Jack Viney in there and we don't let them get that one more clearance, someone to step up in a massive moment, we win the games. And we like Collingwood, if we get one less clearance against us, maybe we win. So, look, I'm jealous of you, mate, and I respect the Hawks. I don't like seeing it because I thought we'd have a buddy down at the bottom of the ladder. But look, they're a very fun team to watch. It's run and gun, and you're going to be playing finals, mate, which is absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, not in a million years did we think. And we were 0-5. There's only 2 other teams in the history that have started a season 0-5 to make it and play finals. And it's looking like, I think we'll get over you guys. I think you guys have checked out, unfortunately. But to go from 7 wins to 14 wins in the space of a year is unheard of, especially with such an even competition. To go, finishing 16th. And look, if we win a final, it'll be unbelievable. I don't think we will. I think it's looking like we'll play the Bulldogs. I know it's at the MCG and Hawthorn play at MCG really well, but
on form though, surely you'd be more confident. Like they're so
not against the Dogs, only because I think we're a key defender short. When you look at the form of Hugo Hagen, Aaron Norton, and Sam Darcy,
we played them in the form for you.
In the 8, I'd rather play a Carlton, or even, to be honest, a Brisbane or a Geelong. And Geelong, unfortunately, they're going to finish in the top 4. They'll smack the Eagles by 90-plus points this way and end up finishing 4th, and they're going to get a double chance. But, I'd rather play a Geelong in a final. I just think, unfortunately, I know we beat the Bulldogs early in the year at Marvel, but they were in poor form then. Although in saying that, they've still got to get over the GWS. And if Carlton beats St Kilda, and if Freo end up beating Port Adelaide and the Bulldogs lose, the Bulldogs drop from 6 to 9. So it's a crazy finish to the year, but to be honest, just making the finals is a blessing and going to be great experience for our boys. Like I said, a year too soon, in my opinion. So any experience we get, played in some massive games this year. We played in the Dusty 300s. We played against Collingwood in front of a massive crowd. And the boys of us stood up. They won both those games really, really well. So, look, we'll see what happens. This week's obviously going to be different. Freezing cold down in Launceston in Tassie.
Absolutely.
I don't like that as a round 24 game. For North Melbourne, it's horrendous to have to get on a plane and travel knowing your season's over. It's not a good place to be.
It'll be very interesting. I'm actually going to the game as well. I'm flying down to see the family.
Oh, awesome.
And got a ticket to the game. And look, I do know I'm going to be down there watching us get absolutely obliterated. I wonder what the score will be at the end. But, our team, I wonder what team we're going to field, because you're right. The season is absolutely over. But you look at like a last week, we were never going to beat, the Dogs or anything like that. But we still played like an injury cloud over Charlie Comp, and he still played. And, there's a lot of guys in there that I'm like, would you shut up shop a little bit, like a Larky? Larky, I thought he did his knee.
Yeah, I saw he knocked to his leg again. Yeah. Knowing Clarko, he's going to do everything he can to win this game.
Yeah.
He's going to want to beat his old club. Him and Sam Mitchell really dislike each other. And he's going to want to win this game, but I just don't think you've got the cattle. Charlie Common is a big out. I think he's had a fantastic season down back. They moved him from forward to down back. He's been really, really good. I think Paul's actually had, especially the second half of his year, has been a really, really good defender. You found a few, Jackson is a great, he's had a really good year for such a young player. Glenn Archer's boy. Harry Out's going to hurt. I think him out of the midfield, you lose. Just that class. I think George Wardlaw is going to be a really quality player, but at the moment now he's still. I don't think he's fit enough to play a full game in the midfield. LDU's the other one who you touched on. You'd rather him getting 20 and kicking a goal and having a couple of goals, having quality possessions than 30. Tom Powell, I think, has had an excellent back half of the season. He's a good clearance player. Didn't get enough time in the midfield, in my opinion, at the start of the year. Clarko played him a bit half forward. A bit half back. He was not played in the right position. So your midfield on paper is actually not that bad, but without Harry in there, I just think it lacks that class. And Hawthorn's midfield's playing really, really well at the moment. Will Day's obviously not playing, is a massive loss. But, with John Newcomb, James Warple, Connor Nash, young Cam McKenzie in his second season, it's a pretty good play. He'll spend more time in the midfield. I think our midfield will get on top.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that, to be honest. I think Marnie's the positive one. I'm a bit more negative or realistic than Marnie, but, and look, she brings me up sometimes and I bring her down sometimes, and sometimes we need that from each other. But, she'll be going into this game. I know she'll be listening to this and being like, we can win, Josh. Why don't you think we can win? I'm like, I'd be wrapping everyone in cotton. Well, I wonder if we will give debuts to some people. We've got like a Finbar Malley, a guy in the VFL who's been playing quite well. My gut tells me we won't do that. I think you're right. I think Clarkson will want to win this game, even though I don't think we're really a chance at all. Geordie Payne is the guy we got in the mid-season draft who's played okay in the VFL and hasn't got his shot. He's a Tassie boy as well, so maybe he gets his debut in front of his mates and things like that. But I really have no expectation and don't know what to expect from this game. Like I said, I'm going down and I'm going to be at the ground. This was my annual game I used to go to every single year, living in Launceston and around Launceston for 20 years. And, I became a North fan when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I remember my dad took me to a game and watched actually someone who played for both of our clubs, Nathan Thompson, kick a few against the Hawks back in the day. And I loved it. And I haven't actually been in this stadium for about 10 years to see Hawks and North. My last memory in that stadium was probably watching Buddy kick 13, which wasn't great, to be fair. But I remember Michael Ferrito, I think it was Ferrito, trying to dive and smother it, and it was just pouring with rain and it went straight through the guts. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this game. It'll be disappointing to me if we don't play some new players, because then I know we're not going to win it. And what have we got to hope for? Am I going into that game as a fan, watching it, wanting a clean bill of health? Because I kind of think that's all I can hope for, and maybe to get a high five from a player on the fence at the end of the game. If we play your Finbars or Geordie Payne or some of these young guys, at least I can go there with a little bit of expectation to maybe see a glimpse, see if these guys do have something about them. So I really hope he mixes it up. Is there anyone else? Do you think there'll be many changes for you guys? I guess it's a must-win for you guys to make sure. Because if you lose, can you drop out of the finals? I'll just look at the ladder quickly.
Hawthorn have to win this game, and we have to win it well because our percentage is only just over 1% higher than Carlton's. And if Carlton wins by a lot more than Hawthorn, they finish 7th and we finish 8th. We need to play Brisbane in Brisbane, round 1 of the finals. So for us, it's an important game. There probably won't be more than two changes. Will Day's definitely out. CJ is going to miss again. He's got a calf injury. He would have played if he was fit. Box Hill, our VFL side, have had a really strong season again. They made a prelim last year. They finished 6th. They probably should have finished in the top 4. But they've got some quality players running around like Josh Ward, Finn McGuinness. Jai Sarong is probably being Box Hill's best player this year. He's one to watch in the trade period. He's played a few senior games the last few years. He was drafted as a forward to replace Jack Gunston, but he's gone down back. He'd be the one to come in for a Jack Scrimshaw. I think he'd be a really good player for a North, a type of team like North. He's quite young. He's, 22, 23, probably plays as a third key defender, but really good skills, good defensively, and finds the ball as well. He's one to keep an eye out for. Then if there's a change in the midfield, Finn McGuinness is one who we saw the last few years, play as a tagger. Sam's gone away from that. He doesn't tag anymore, but McGuinness has been playing more as a offensive player in the reserves. He's kicked goals. He's found the ball, averages close to 30 possessions a game. So, look, I don't think there'll be too many changes. Hawthorn, like I said, have to win this game and win it well. We don't want to finish 8th and play Brisbane in the first final. We'd rather finish 6th or 7th and play either the Bulldogs or Carlton. I think Carlton will beat St Kilda on Sunday and make the finals. It'd be good just to have we probably need to win this game by 50-plus points just to keep our percentage above Carlton's.
Yeah, when I sort of look at the ladder, I think Freo are the only team that can actually really jump in. So it really determines, like, if Freo lose, I guess you guys don't have to win to remain in the 8 as well. The only other possibility is Collingwood, but they've got to win by about 100 points. I think they've got to make up about 10+%.
They need to win by 100, and I think Carlton have to lose by 100, and Freo have to lose as well. So the issue with us is because our game's Saturday afternoon, we're not going to know because Port Freo's not till the last game. It's 6:10 on Sunday night. So Hawthorn have to go full pelt in this game, and we need to go into this game thinking that Freo have won and that Carlton are going to win as well. So we just have to win this game.
Do you see any way that Hawthorn are nervous or any chance of an upset in this thing?
Look, we're a young side, but we've come up in really big games this year. Like I touched on, the Dusty 300th in front of 92,000. Collingwood, who are playing with their season on the line, that was, I think, over 70,000. We played in front of some really big crowds the whole year. And other than, Geelong and Easter Monday, who got a hold of us at the end, only beat us by 4 or 5 goals in the end. Being a young side, we've still managed to play really well in the high-pressure games. This is going to be a high-pressure game, but Sam Mitchell's spoken about it every week for the last, 6 to 8 weeks. Every game Hawthorn's playing at the moment is an elimination final. So we need to go into this game like it's a final. I think the first quarter will be close. You'll see Hawthorn will be a little nervous because they know that they have to win this game. But I just think our class will prevail. Like I said, I think North unfortunately checked out, last week to lose by close to 100 points against the Bulldogs, who are a really strong side, but you shouldn't be losing by 100 points. So that more or less says that I think, unfortunately, North have checked out. Harry Sheasel's obviously not going to play, your best player, like we touched on before. Charlie Comben is a really, really big out. He probably would have played on Marbio Chol. Aiden Core will get that role. Kel Shadir is another one of our young players who got the rising start. this week. He's a really good player, but I think our high half forwards and small forwards in Dylan Moore, who'll be an All-Australian this year, Connor McDonald is another good young player, Nick Watson, who kicked 3 last week, the number 5 draft pick. I just think our small forwards, if our midfield get on top, which I think they will just cause too many problems. I think if North are going to have any chance of winning this game, they're probably going to have to kick 15 to 16 goals, and I just can't see, with Larkey hobbled. Paul Curtis is a really good player. I think he's had an underrated season. He's a really good small forward, or I guess a medium to small forward. Cam Zurha usually plays pretty well against Hawthorn. I think he's been disappointing. I think he's inconsistent. Great that he re-signs. He could have left and gone back home to WA. But I just don't think North have the weapons to kick 15 plus goals. Larkey usually plays pretty well against us, but he's playing sore at the moment. You can tell he copped that big knock to his leg. I think his knee or calf last week. Larkey would have to kick 7 or 8 for you to win this game.
Yeah, and I think there's a world where Larkey maybe doesn't play. I'm really interested to see. That hasn't been even hinted at, but I know we said before that Clarkson wants to win the game, but if you're star forward when you got nothing to play for, his knee's even a slightly bit sore, there's just no risk. There's no point risking that whatsoever. So I think you're right. Like, we won't be able to handle the wave of players that you push forward, and how your midfielders and halfbacks can push through, the corridor and down the wing so quickly and so rapidly. Like, Hawthorn play such a run and gun style, and it's high risk footy, but you just never turn it over. Like, you just don't make a mistake in the link in the chain. And this is what we're sort of trying to do, but we're trying to play fast as well, but we just do not have the skills, the kicking ability and the handballing ability to link up all the time. I'll tell you who the Hawks sort of remind me of a little bit is the 2016 Bulldogs, where the handball chain is so elite. Wow. They just cannot. You could handball it behind their head and it'll just land in the most perfect spot it needs to for the other guy. They're so in tune and they're so linked together that you just can't stop that handball and that run. And, we looked, all the centre clearances we gave up on the weekend were pretty pathetic, and no one wanted to chase and tackle, and there was no one pushing back. So honestly, I guess if we're going to go to maybe some predictions and score lines, I honestly, and this is not me just trying to throw something out in the universe, I really think maybe my heart and my head are both screaming the same thing. And I think we're going to lose by 65 on the weekend. I think the Hawks maybe give up a little bit towards the end when it's done, and maybe we kick a few to make it feel a little bit better, to get it back from like an 80 to a 60. But realistically, and I apologize, North fans, for my negativity, but I don't see a world where we're even in the same realm as the Hawks, especially with Comben and Sheasel. There's no Dersma. I know he hasn't played maybe amazing, but he's gone for shoulder surgery. Miller Bergman, arguably the most unlucky player in the North Melbourne Football Club. His first game, his shoulder explodes, out for a year. Then the year after, he got a lot of soft tissue injuries, and now he's got his second or third game for the year, gets subbed on and concussed straight away when he got injured. I think he might have got concussed when he played his first game earlier in the year as well. So the guy has had no luck whatsoever, but I think he's could be a really good player, but he's out as well. So I don't know, man. I'm going to say Hawks by 65, and you guys might score 100 and we might score 35, 40, 45 points or something like that.
Tassie games are historically not overly skilled games.
You guys are so good at that stadium though. Like, literally there's no team that could go there and beat you, I reckon. I don't know what it is, but
our games there can often be quite scrappy. I don't think it'll be a 70-plus margin. I think it'll be similar to the Richmond game. We kicked, 8-1 in the first quarter, and then our second quarter against Richmond on Sunday was really, really poor. The players copped a massive spray at halftime, and we ended up winning by, I think, 63 points, which, we should have beaten that Tigers team by 90 plus. We didn't play really well after quarter time. I think this game will follow a similar path. I think North will come out and play a decent first quarter. It'll be close-ish at quarter time. I think we'll be up by 5 or 6 goals at half time and then put our foot down in the third quarter. We'll probably lead, by 50 points at three-quarter time, and I think that'll be the final margin. I think if North can get within 7 to 8 goals, it'll be a pretty good effort, just with the way Hawthorn are playing at the moment and what Hawthorn are playing for and what North aren't playing for, I think if North can keep this under 50 points, it'll be a pretty good result for them. It's not a good thing to say, but that's just where we are at the season, round 24.
Yeah.
North, like we said, aren't playing for anything. Hawthorn are playing for a final spot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, going into a game thinking, I hope we keep it under 50 reminds me of when David Noble was our coach. So getting a nice blast from the past there, but right back to where how North Melbourne's been the last few years. Look, maybe that's probably most of the game talked about. Honestly, like I usually would try and go through some players that can hurt us or, players that we could hurt you with. But really, I don't think there's too much, to talk about there. I think your whole team as a unit is going to run and gun and push through us all day. So maybe the question we'll go to is who's your premiership tip? I know it's a crazy time in the AFL at the moment, but if you had to put some money on someone, who are you putting? Who's in the granny?
Pre-season, I predicted Brisbane in GWS to play off in the grand final.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a chance. I think Brisbane shot themselves in the foot massively the last few weeks. Two shocking losses. It's very hard for an interstate side to win the grand final if they don't finish in the top four. So I don't think Brisbane can make the grand final now. I think they can at best make a prelim. Their list, in my opinion, with GWS, they've got the two best lists in the league. I actually think GWS. I know Sydney are going to finish on top. I don't think they've been in great form. I don't think their forward line is strong enough to win a grand final. Their midfield's really strong. Their back line I don't think is great as well. I just think GWS with Jesse Hogan and Toby Green, they've obviously got Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley down back, and their midfield's really strong. Kelly and Canigler have come in the last couple of weeks, and they've got underrated players. Brett Daniels is one who had an amazing game last week, who I think is a smoky for the All-Australian. Finn Callahan's a great young player. I just think their mix across all lines is really strong. They're probably going to have to travel week one to play Port Adelaide in Adelaide if Port beat Fremantle in the last game on Sunday.
A place they won at last year, though.
Yeah, if I had to predict, I think my pick is GWS. Who they play in the grand final is I've got no idea. I'm probably going to say they'll play probably Sydney. I know I said Sydney aren't in great form, but it's looking likely like Sydney are going to get Geelong in the first final in Sydney. They'll beat Geelong if they play them in Sydney. So they get a home prelim. I'd love to say Hawthorn. I just think being such a young side and, we're probably going to get either the Bulldogs or Brisbane in Brisbane. You win that, then you got to, probably go into state the second week. Interstate for a prelim, it's more or less impossible. So, my tip for the flag is GWS. I did have them making the grand final at the start of the year, but it's been a great season. I know North fans out there, it's disappointing that you've only won 3 games, but at least you saw the signs there. Like we said at the start, you probably should have won 6 or 7 games. The nucleus of your next successful team is more or less there. You've got the young talent. It's now just finding those pieces like Sam Mitchell did for Hawthorn, getting a Lloyd Meek from Fremantle, getting a D'Ambrosio from the Bombers, getting a Ginnivan from Collingwood. You've just got to be able to identify what your list needs and go out and find those players. The players are out there. The players that Hawthorn brought in this off-season, Charles, another one, played at Richmond, played at the Gold Coast, was a discard. He's coming in at Hawthorn. He's kicked 33 goals this year. He's played his role perfectly. Clarko's really good at that. It's just about identifying those players and then getting them to come and commit, because Harry Sheasel signed a 7-year deal. Zerha's extended. The young players are all signing, so they can see the future. Just got to be patient. I know it's hard to say that for you guys because, you tried to be patient for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
But we've seen with Hawthorn, who finished bottom 4 last year, we've got to remember a lot of people in the media are saying, Hawthorn, they won all these flags. They haven't had a wait. Hawthorn haven't won a final since they won their grand final in 2015. It's nearly been a decade. We had 2 top 4 finishes in 16 and 18. We got knocked out in straight sets in both. But we haven't won a final since we won the grand final in 2015. We might not even win a final this year. If that doesn't happen, next year's a decade since our last finals win. North have played and won finals in the last decade. They obviously haven't won the premiership, but it just shows, like I said, we were bottom 4 last year. We've finished the bottom 5 or 6 quite a lot in the last 4 or 5 years at the end of Clarko's tenure as well. It turns really quickly if you make smart decisions, and I think North will start to do that. I've watched a lot of North Melbourne this year, and I truly believe you've got the core there, but you just need to be able to get some experienced players from other clubs to come in, provide the leadership, and things will turn really quickly because you're going to get another, top 5 draft pick this season as well. And you'll see once these younger guys get 40 to 50 games like Hawthorn have had with Connor McDonald and those type of players, it'll turn really quickly.
Yeah, I really hope so, mate. Look, I believe in it as well. And I think, I've sort of been pretty strong this year on, I think we're minimum 3 to 5 years away from really being able to challenge for the finals or anything. And I think we need to be a bit more realistic. Like, look, it would be nice to do a Hawthorn, go from bottom 4 to top 8, but the North Melbourne doesn't really have that luck and fortune with the footy gods. I think I trust in Alistair Clarkson, and people try and criticize him for, he did it at Hawthorn, but he's not doing it now. I mean, he's only been there for a couple of years. He's probably only coached a season and a bit for us all up. And yeah, it is a longer process. If say we turn it around in 4 years like the Hawks did, everyone's going to look back and be like, geez, he does it quick. When 2 years in, everyone's like a lot of the media is saying, gee, has he got it anymore? And doubting him. So look, I think from what I've heard coming out of the club with, and we've all heard this when Clarkson said it on the radio, where we are looking for experienced players, and we do understand that we need a veteran key position player as well. He's come out and said we need help for Larky. He's come out and said we need a veteran key position player. He's come out and said we need someone in that midfield with like Nick Haynes and Broad from the Tigers, who did sign, and like a Viney or a Parker, and Viney signed, but are only ones. He's saying names that I think the North fans agree with when we watch all the games. And this is the thing that maybe the last few years, and especially before Clarko got there, we didn't really have confidence in our drafting. Now, I think if we keep the top 5 pick, or it's going to be pick 2, right? So if we keep the second pick, I do think we draft a midfielder, and I've been pretty hot on Josh Smiley, not necessarily because he's the best player in the draft, but because he fits a need. And that's one thing I don't have full faith in, but I really hope that Clarkson and Brady Rawlings and the list management can start drafting on need instead of just potential, because we can't just keep getting high potential mids that are all very, very similar. So look, I'm with you, mate. I think it can turn. If in 3 years' time we're pushing for finals, I think we look back and say it did turn kind of quick. I know that we've had many years before Clarkson that it was bad, but and I've said on the pod all year that if we can all agree that the rebuild started when Clarkson came, but we don't act like it. We act like it's been going since Reece Shaw and the end of Brad Scott. And that's true, and that's fair for North fans, but let's really just trust the process with Clarkson here, because he's done it before. Will he get us to a premiership? Probably not, mate, to be honest, but he can set us up to go into that next phase where we get that Simon Goodwin or, that whatever sort of coach we can get that takes us to the next level, almost like Clarkson did with Hawthorn. Then now you got Sam Mitchell, and look what you're doing. So look, I'll just pray to the footy gods, mate, to be honest, because at minimum, football became fun again for me this year. And I think that's something that's very, very important. I saw my first, and this is, I don't know if you know this or not, but I saw my first win in the stadium in 6 years this year. I hadn't seen a win in person since 2018 before we beat the Gold Coast. And then we beat Richmond 2 weeks later. So I've seen 2 wins this year.
It's a good feeling.
So look, I've broken that hoodoo, and I think you're right. I think the future is there for North. So look, that all being said, we're going to get absolutely obliterated on the weekend, but I'm going to close my eyes down at the stadium. I'm going to go get some chicken tenders, and then I'm going to walk away and pretend that never happened. We're going to go into the draft and the preseason and the off season with smiles and deluded minds. And look, mate, who knows? Maybe North Hawks grand final in 2025.
Hopefully. Enjoy. I'm jealous. I'd love to be there as well. I'll be watching. Marnes, I'll be chatting to you as well. Hopefully, we can maybe watch that together. But, let's hope for a good game. No injuries to either side. Like you said, if Larky plays, those are the games where you cross your fingers and hope there's no serious injury. But, let's just hope for a good game. good off season for both clubs. Hawthorn again, we're going to be big players in trade period. Tom Barras is going to be playing for Hawthorn next year. Josh Battle's a big watch as well, which will be great. So, good luck North fans for Saturday. Good luck for trade week and draft, and good luck for the future. Like I said, I'm a big fan of North. I'm a believer of North and what they're going to do in the future. I love watching your young players. Colby McKercher for me is my favourite. Sheasel, know him on a bit of a personal level as well. But Colby McKercher to me is someone who I think is going to be an absolute superstar.
Is he the rising star this year?
No, he didn't play enough games. Ollie Dempsey from Geelong's going to win that. He's got that wrapped up. Colby, unfortunately, missed quite a few games. He had a few soft issues. They managed him a bit. He copped a few knocks and was quite sore. But you can just see there, he plays similar to Hodge did at Hawthorn when Luke Hodge first started at Hawthorn. He's got a beautiful kick on him. He's courageous for his size. After a couple more pre-seasons, you pop him in the midfield with a Wardlaw, a Sheasel, a Powell, an LDU, and all of a sudden you got the nucleus of an elite A-grade midfield there. So, like I said, guys, stick strong. It's going to turn. Hopefully, my man Sherry gets the All-Australian ruck roll. I don't think he will, but I hope he does. Harry needs to be in there. He will. He'll probably get the spot on the interchange. I think he deserves to be on the field. I just don't think he will. And hopefully, North and Hawthorn are playing off in a grand final. Like you said, it won't happen in 2025, but maybe 2028, 2029. You never know.
Well, fingers crossed, mate. Look, thank you for coming on. You've had 2 appearances on the podcast now. You're almost a regular. And look, good luck to Hawthorn in the finals, mate. I'll be some of my best mates are Hawthorn as well. So, look, I will be cheering for the Hawks, but very, very jealous while we're at it. But thank you for coming on again, mate, and good luck for the finals.
Pleasure. Thanks, mate, and thanks to all the North fans out there. Follow me on X at Brad Klebanski and at Hawks Insiders to get your Hawks fix. Thank you.
Get around him, guys.
Thank you so much to Brad for jumping on once again. Love having him on. He's got such good Hawthorn insight, and I'm sure he'll feature again next year. So thank you for jumping on, my friend. Now, let's get into North. The last preview pod of the year. Imagine telling me at the start of the year we'd have 3 wins. Yes, I know we might win this weekend. All right, Marty. But no, probably not. So anyway, lots going on, but I think we get straight into the team because I'm very excited to see exactly what they're going to select this week, which I think will be really interesting. Is Clarkson going to go a classic round 23 or 4, whatever it is these days, 24? A last round team where you debut a lot of young guys. I would love to see Finbar, Geordie Payne, even if you give a Lazaro a crack or something like that. I'd love to see a mixed up team. I don't think we'll go down that path. Everything that I've heard suggests that he's going to pick a pretty strong team. So I'm really interested to see what he does. Interested to see what you guys would rather do as well. Leave in the comments if you'd rather pick, a really strong one and go in and try and win this one. Not necessarily giving Finbar and whatnot a game is not going to mean you're going to win it, but look, read the tea leaves, guys. If you're putting those guys in, you're probably not expecting to win. You're just giving them exposure. Which would you prefer to see? Would you prefer to see a young team this week, or would you prefer to see an older team? Obviously, you guys already know what the team is, and I do not yet. So, hey, enough waffle. We got retirements to talk about and all that sort of stuff after, but hey, this is why we're here. Let's have a look. 3, 2, 1. Well, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. Blake Drury. Why? Will Phillips in, Toby Pink in, Blake Drury in, Comben out, Bergman out, Eddie Ford out. Interesting. Rudy got confirmed through the week that she's Chom, Durs, and Bergman are not going to be available. So I guess Comben and Bergman are the ones there that aren't surprising. Very interesting to see Eddie Ford dropped. Very strange. Blake Drury, look, he hasn't got a contract for next year. So I guess maybe this is a game for him to be like, hey, give it a crack, mate. Do I think it'll be here next year? I would say no, personally. Spoiler alert for our end of season delistings, but my opinion on them anyway. But that doesn't excite me at all. But I think Blake Drury, I've said this a few times, and look, with all due respect, at the moment, Blake Drury has Kane Turner vibes. Or Jack Marnie vibes, sorry, that's what I usually say. Sort of both, to be fair. When I think about Jack Marnie, I'm like, what was he good at? He wasn't fast, wasn't tall, didn't have good goal sense, couldn't mark, couldn't tackle. So not really sure what the plan was with him. I look at Blake Drury, and I've said this before too, if your main skill is leadership, you get a different skill. Not that that is a bad skill to have at all, it's a fantastic trait. But if your best quality is leadership, it's almost like getting the coach's award on the team. I got the coach's award the first time I played footy ever, back in like 2006. Wasn't very good. I was rubbish. So anyway, that's enough talk about Blake Drury. Toby Pink, boring. He plays too many games, to be honest. But hey, a bit of fun in the last round. Maybe we'll see the Toby Pink show, which would be very exciting. He only turns up against big teams, I guess. So who knows? And Will Phillips in. Yeah, weird. Not as exciting as I thought it would be. Finn McGuinness is in for the Hawks and Will Day is out. Always going to happen. Surprised they didn't rest some more. I guess they do need the percentage as well because they need to make sure that they are entrenched in that 8. If they lose and other teams win by a lot, like if Freo win, they can drop out. Lots of things can happen. So we talked about that last podcast anyway. That's a really underwhelming thing. And you know what? I kind of expected it to be underwhelming. I think a lot of Clarkson's selections this year have been very underwhelming. My heart said play Finbar, play Geordie Payne, but I never really thought that was happening. So I guess we're wheeling out the same old side. Good job, guys. 100-point loss, and we only make a couple of changes that are pretty uninspired. So don't worry, though. Blake Drury will fix it. He'll make up the 96 points. Yeah, anyway. Liam Shields is playing his last game. I guess we can sort of go on to some other news now. I was hoping we could talk about some crazy changes, but not really. I mean, emergencies: Will Dawson, Charlie Lazaro, and Eddie Ford. Eddie Ford clearly just dropped, not injured, so very interesting. I mean, I'd give him a game over half the team we've selected, to be fair. But anyway, here we are. Callum Dawson remains in the team. Hanson Jr. earned his spot, so that's fine. Yeah, Darcy Tuckers and, whatever. Dylan Stevens, who knows? I like Dylan Stevens, but hey, can't pretend he's played amazing. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Retirements this week. Liam Shields and Hugh Greenwood have both announced their retirements. Interesting with North Melbourne we need experienced players. It's probably time for both of them to go. I think Hugh Greenwood still had more to give. But he didn't ever get the opportunity. Liam Shields, I mean, it's fair enough. He's been not a gun player, but he's been he's such a good player for a football club for a long time. You don't stay in that Hawthorn team and win all those premierships without really being able to contribute. And Clarkson said in his press conference today he's going to stick around the club in like a recruiting role as well. If that's full-time, part-time, absolutely no idea. But glad he's staying around the club. I think he's a really good figure and a really good mentor for some of these guys. And brings some experience. We need someone who's hasn't been out of the game too long that they're past it, but, I'm glad he's staying. I think it's really good. Hugh Greenwood, I think we all saw it coming. I think it's a bit unfair. I think he should have got more games for us. But, hey, here we are. All I ask, guys, is you send your thoughts and prayers to Marnie Cohen. She's not here right now. I guess we'll get her reaction to the Hugh Greenwood retirement later after the game when we do the pod after the game. But go on the Instagram story. I've left a story up where you can send nice messages to Marnie Cohen. Maybe it will be gone by the time you hear this podcast, but who knows? Just DM us anyway and address them to Marnie. Other than that, let's talk about Viney signing, to be honest, because I called this out a week ago saying there is no chance, there's absolutely no chance that this is going to happen. Lo and behold, he signs for the D's. No surprise there. It's interesting. Clarkson sort of got slaughtered in the media a little bit for talking about players that he wants to bring in, which is very funny because the media are the ones crying that there's not enough transparency. But they want you to be transparent just to tear you down. So, Viney signs, no surprise there. I really wonder what we're going to do this offseason. But hey, there's heaps of off-season content coming, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But no surprise with Viney at all. All right, let's go to this week at the barbershop because I really appreciate this year. We've started this year, really promoting the barbershop a little bit more. Thank you for coming and seeing me and Big Ant as well. It's been fun. Just because the season's ending doesn't mean your hair stops growing. So you can come in and talk about North and all the trades and the free agent signings we make. Anyway, let's have a chat and then I'll promote the barbershop a little bit more. Shameless plug. Cue that jazz. Okay. I am absolutely done with this year. This has been the chat at the barbershop. You know, depending if your team's in the finals, depending if it's not, it's a very different tone of chat at the barbershop this week. Got Eston fans coming in, thinking the whole place needs to be burnt to the ground. You've got Richmond fans coming in pretending they don't care and they don't watch it anymore. But you've got guys like Hawthorn fans, especially in the East, there's so many thinking, you told me at the start of the year that this and this and this would happen. And I'm happy to eat my words, I was wrong. But I'm so ready for the football to be done and the trades and the chaos and the draft to start. Draft time is like Christmas for North Melbourne fans. And free agent and signing speculation is like Christmas for North fans. So the silly season for us is just about to begin. The season's the pre-season for North Melbourne, guys. This is what we live for. High draft picks. And which player who's not wanted by another club will we sign this time? Look, to be more positive, I am honestly glad the season's done. I think we need a reset. I think we need to take a breath, realise life without football is possible. And then we can spend the next few months just pretending everything's going to be okay. And we'll come back next year with heaps of optimism just to be let down. No, I'm joking. I think we will improve next year. But I did say that this year, so who knows. But I really am tired. I've podcasted so much. The podcast will still be coming. But I'm glad I'm not going to have to do 2 a week and preview all these games anymore. So I'll be here for you guys once a week still for nearly the rest of the year. Maybe December, Jan, I'll be like, look, no more. That's Christmas, New Year's and my birthday. So give me some time, but the podcast will keep rolling. Anyway, I'm over this year. I'm tired. Let's wrap it up. The finals should be fun, but we'll come back next year. Stop the jazz. Wowee, how philosophical was that? Black and Brown Barbershop, right across the road from Mitcham Station. Please jump on the website. You can book me or Big Ant, but probably me because you want to talk about North. Or book with Big Ant and, say some awful stuff to him the entire time. He'll love that. That is great. But please, book me, request me, put Further North in the comments so I know you're a podcast listener. Come down and have a chat and we can, drown our sorrows together. We can cry. We can feel supported because someone else is there that understands what we've been going through. It'll be a great time. I think we tip. Let's tip, and then we're going to get out of here. Melbourne Collingwood is an interesting one. What can change on the ladder? If Collingwood win, they go to 52 points, but they're 10% behind Carlton, so they'd have to win. They'd have to absolutely smash the Ds. I think they'll win. Tip the Pies. I don't think it'll be enough to get into the finals, though, but Collingwood win that one. Geelong West Coast. What can happen here? So if Geelong lose, it's crazy. They could drop down to 8th with percentages and things like that, depending on other results. Or they could go up to 2nd, potentially. So, very interesting. I think Geelong win. I'd love West Coast to win. I don't want West Coast to win because I don't want them to get more wins. But I would also like them to win because I like to see Geelong not win because they win all the time. And their fans just need a bit of a reality check. Richmond Gold Coast. What a boring game of football. I sort of took a stab at Dusty last week because I think it's pretty poor from him not even wanting to suit up, to play one more game for the fans. I just think it's really poor from him. Other players have been wheeled out. Well, you know what? We wheeled out Ben Cunnington after recovering from cancer to play one more game. If he can do that, and he's a legend and a champion. Well done, Ben. If he could do that, Dusty, turn up and play for the people who have supported you. But that's not what Dusty's like, I guess. He doesn't like the spotlight. All right, champ. Come on. I can't believe I just champed Dustin Martin. He's so much more successful than me. He's a gun. I love Dustin Martin, but yeah, pretty poor, I think. I'd be upset if I was a Tigers fan, especially after Dimmer screwed them over and basically ruined their entire future. But anyway, we move on. I think who's going to win? Give me the Gold Coast. Just ruin the day. Ruin the day for the Tigers. Hawthorn North. We don't want to talk about that. Brisbane Essendon. Brisbane win that one. They have to. Disappointing from the Lions. Could have locked up top 4. I think they probably win. Can they get top 4? They can squeeze in a 4th, but only if the Cats lose. Interesting. They could drop down. Oh, they could drop out of the 8. So interesting. Okay, so if they lose and say the Dockers win, but everyone else would have to win. So the Dogs, the Hawks, the Blues, and the Dockers would have to win. And they could drop out of the 8. That's crazy. It's at the Gabba, and the Bombers have nothing to play for. So I'll say the Lions. Sydney, Adelaide. I'd say Sydney get it done. Adelaide are on the beach. It's at the SCG, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yeah, Sydney, let's get a nice win going into the finals. I'm on the Swans. I've been on the Swans all year. Swans get it done. Western Bulldogs, GWS, another crazy game. Now, this Sunday of football is insane. So, and I can't watch a single bit of it because I'm in Tasmania. I'll be in Hobart, actually. I'm going to the game too. I'll send some slides of the scoreboard. Anyway, let's see what could happen here. So if the Giants win, the Swans lose, they could go top. They'd have to, it's too much percentage though. They could go second, let's say. I don't think it's realistic they go top, but they could be equal points with the Swans. If they lose, they can drop all the way. They could be like 6th or something like that. If the Dogs win, they could go up to 4th. They could possibly get the top 4, but the Cats and everyone else around them has to lose. Or they could drop out of the finals. If they lose and Freo win, it's done. They're out. So in that game, it's at Mars Stadium. I don't know. That's game of the round, isn't it? That's game of the round because and the Dogs won't know because the Freo game's last. So the Dogs won't know what they need to do at that time. I'm going to go the Dogs. I just think they've got more to play for. They play at that ground, and they're coming off an absolute shellacking of us. So I'll go the Dogs, but that's a 50-50 game. Jeez, I wish I could watch that game. Carlton Saints. Oh, God, I want to tip the Saints. Jeez, I want to tip the Saints. But I don't think the Saints come marching in this one. I think Carlton get it done. I think hopefully last week, well, not hopefully, but I think maybe last week made them realise, you can kick it to your team's chest in the forward line. We don't just have to bomb it long every single time. I don't know. Actually, let's see. Is Colonel Mackay back in? I guess it's just going to be a squad that's named, right? If this wants to load, that would be fantastic. Let's have a look at the lineup. In for Carlton. Okay, Kerno is in. Okay. Yeah, I'll tip the Blues in this one. I'd love the Saints to get up in that one. Tom Campbell's playing. Saints, okay. Okay. Can't win that one. Freo Port. Port gets smashed. No, they're probably not going to get smashed. I think the Dockers win, which will make one of these guys lose. I mean, Hawthorn will win. Carlton will probably win. The Bulldogs are the ones that are at risk. The Lions, I reckon, probably win too. So I'd say the Bulldogs and the Dockers are vying for the last spot in the 8. So I think Freo have to get it done, especially over there. Let's see some ins and outs. Is Port resting anybody? Because they've locked up finals, even though they'll lose every one of them. There's not really... James Aish, Michael Waters. There's not really anything going on here. Dan Houston is out and Quinton Narkle. No, they're going for it. So, look, I think the Dockers have to get it done over there because I think they've got more to play for, realistically. So I'll tip the Dockers, but that's another game. Every Sunday game is massive there. That's going to decide everything on the Sunday. Anyway, that is it. That is the last preview podcast for the entire year. Wow, I can't believe I did 24 of these on top of 24 other podcasts. Well, that one is to come. And then all the off-season stuff and the pre-season stuff. God, I do a lot of podcasts. Anyway, we're going to keep it rolling. The season review podcast will be hopefully coming out next Friday. So 1 week from hearing this, hopefully we're going to get that out for you guys. All-star lineup on that one as well. Calling in big guests as usual. So that will be fun. Other than that, me and Marnie will try and get a podcast out to you guys reviewing the game. Hopefully we'll be able to get that out while I'm in Tassie. It'll probably be another Zoom chat, unfortunately, because the podcasting doesn't stop even if I'm far away. So that'll be a quick one. We'll get smashed and we won't want to talk very much. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys later in the weekend, and we'll be back with end of season reviews, and then the fun stuff starts. Thank you. We got 1,000 subscribers on YouTube too, so that was great. Instagram's grown so much this year. Thank you to everyone who messages me, and I message back incredibly slowly, so I apologize. And yeah, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, no Snapchat. Get around us. Hopefully we can do something after the season. Maybe we go down to the brewery where we went for the live show and have a drink with you guys, or we do another live show maybe at the start of next year. So keep those in the books. Anyway, I'm tired. I'm going to go edit. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Hopefully North doesn't get smashed.